People of the internet, my name is Uduo Jagero, and this is Political Headache. You know, this is becoming a headache, brother.
Literally a headache.
This is a headache. Would you say that there is a political headache in this country?
There's a political migraine, not just
migraine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kenyan, being in Kenya, the fact that you are Kenyan, it confirms that you have a very thick skin. You can live anywhere. If you've lived in Kenya, you can live even.
What makes you say so?
It's a country where you are taking your children to school, but you don't know where they will go after school. It's a country that when you fall sick, you're not very sure you will get medicine in hospitals. It's a country where a young girl can be shot watching TV in her father's house. It's a country where you're just about to have lunch in your mother's home and you are abducted to be found dead 300 kilometers away. It's a country where you're selling masks on the street, then you're shot point blank.
Did they say it was a rubber bullet?
He was shot and he died. Nobody can confirm whether it was rubber or the real bullet.
I've never seen a rubber bullet that ruptures the skull like that.
It ruptured the skull?
Yes.
Anyway, Ochoka, how are you doing? You wrote a very long article on, what is it called, on Medium.
Yes.
Talking about the 10-point agenda that Raila Odinga and Raila Odinga's ODM and UDA came together with. But also this gentleman said that even if you look clearly at the 10-point agenda, it reads like ODM, it smells like Raila. Isn't that what you said?
Yes.
I have the same sentiments, actually.
You have the same sentiment. What are the sentiments that you have?
The sentiment is Raila is pro-ambivalence. I don't know whether
pro-ambivalence.
Our audience might also pick the same sentiment. But what I mean by that is he likes to maintain his mystery in the gray areas. And so how he does that is because we know his legacy is built on social justice, constitutionalism, and fight for the poor average Kenyan. Those are very beautiful, and we cannot take away those from Raila Odinga. Those are set on his skin. They're written on the stone of his epitaph if one day he falls. But I do believe that as of the last decade or so, and even some people might even stretch it further than 1997 during NDP, when the cock apparently swallowed the tractor.
Yes.
We can see how he has maintained feeding from the government table, yet also being one of the greatest mouthpieces of opposition. He does that by sound bites of liberation, sound bites of social justice, sound bites of dialogue, because dialogue is a very commonly misused and misspelled word in younger and maturing democracies. And what dialogue usually means is an elite form of people chattering on the table and using their backgrounds, their tribal backgrounds and calculations to pawn. In other words, the average Kenyan has no interest in the end. What comes out is how these people who know each other, but from the average person's point of view, they're seen as enemies. These are people who take tea, these are people who go to the same members club, these are people who own businesses together. These are people who, although they are politically rivals, they're not rivals in business and enterprises. So I do feel that, yes, ODM is very hard to separate that skin and bone of ODM from Raila Odinga, the person, the political figure and behemoth, because that is, ODM is who he is. And ODM is his biggest tool of bidding. Whether internally, because we know of so many briefcases that are usually taken to Raila to appease him during nominations.
I was being told a story that is crazy.
Yes.
at the in Kisumu about how people pay homage to the man. You pay homage to the man, you pay homage to the wife, you pay homage to the daughter, you pay homage to the people that have his ear. You pay homage in terms of 10 million, 20 million, 30 million, but that is not enough. You pay homage with perfume that come from France. You pay homage by ointment that come from South Korea.
Yes.
You know?
He is Baba.
But let's go back. I think the editor will be playing the video that Sifuna, and Sifuna is a very interesting figure because I think we are going to be talking about him in one of the videos. Now, when they had there, I think they will play a little bit of that part. But
yeah, so as you can see, this is the Central Committee of ODM. We have met here under the chairmanship of the party leader, His Excellency Raila Odinga, to review the state of the nation, current developments in the party, and in particular the MOU with UDA and support for the broad-based government. After frank and open deliberations, the committee adopted the following resolutions as the party's collective message to members and to the country. Number 1, that the party supports the position that has been taken by party leader Honorable Raila Odinga to work with the Kenya Kwanza administration to stabilize the country and create an enabling environment for Kenyans to address their concerns through democratic and constitutional means. Number 2, that in order to expedite the implementation of the 10-point agenda of the MOU, ODM will constitute a technical team to work with our UDA counterparts as part of the political infrastructure to assist with the implementation of the agreement. The committee has identified the absence of such a technical committee, which is actually contained in the MOU, as the missing link in the implementation of the MOU. Of great concern is the full implementation of the Nadco report, promotion and protection of the livelihoods of young people, the right to peaceful assembly and protest, the rule of law and constitutionalism, corruption and wastage of public resources. Thirdly, that while the party acknowledges the allocation of 415 billion to counties in the current financial year as an improvement on the previous disbursement, we will continue pushing for the raising of the allocation to a minimum 450 billion Kenya shillings or more, as had been proposed by party leader Raila Odinga. Fourthly, that the party continues to demand the implementation of the unbundling of all devolved functions and the requisite and constitutionally sanctioned resources to the counties. Number 5, that the party supports calls for an intergenerational national conclave to deliberate on the issues affecting the nation with particular focus on youth agenda and agree on a way forward. Number 6, that the party will continue with grassroots elections and programs for the ODM at 20 celebrations as part of the process of regeneration, reorganization, and internal strengthening. Lastly, that while members arrived here with different viewpoints on many issues within the party and the country, the committee has succeeded in brokering an unbreakable unity of purpose in the party and a single-minded focus on ensuring that ODM continues to be a loyal servant of the people and the country, acting in the best interest of its supporters and nation, and committed to the agenda of national transformation and stability. Lastly, we have been presented with a schedule of all upcoming by-elections, and the resolution of this committee is that ODM will fully participate in all of those by-elections by fielding candidates.
But what now? Because we had a 10-point agenda.
Yes.
When the MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding, was written between UDA and ODM. I don't know whether it was Kenya Kwanza. I don't know whether it was between Kenya Kwanza and Zazimio, or it was between UDA and ODM. What was it?
It's mostly UDA and ODM.
UDA. The coalitions are no longer existing anyway.
Because Wiper is not part of the broad-based. And some parts...
Jubilee is not.
Jubilee is not. Some parts of Kenya Kwanza, like Ford Kenya, is not part of the broad-based. Is it? So it's just UDA.
But when they were doing it, were we told explicitly the Memorandum of Understanding was between UDA and ODM? Was that on paper, or what was on paper was Azimio?
We had two people from two parties signing the document. Secretary General of ODM.
It's very important to make that clear.
Yeah?
Yes. Secretary General of ODM.
Okay.
and the other person was from UDA. So these are two parties. We didn't see anyone from Wiper. Wetangula was not there. ANC was not there. Though this is UDA and ODM forming broad-based government.
You know, Mr. Joachim, let's go slowly. I know the people that were present. The papers upon which they were pending their signatures had what letterheads? Do we know?
We don't know.
We don't know.
Yes.
Okay. Because why I'm asking you this, we had a 10-point memorandum of understanding. And I think Ochuka is going to be talking about the memorandum of understanding, the 10-pointer. But I want to read for you what they said they want to do.
Yes.
And I think we can start talking about each and every one of them.
Yes.
And then we tie it with the 10-pointer. Because now we have 6. We had 10 before. So I don't know whether it's a shrinkage. I don't know whether it is a...
Before you even read the 10-point agenda,
Okay.
just go to agenda number 2 and read it.
Here?
Yes.
The one that was done yesterday?
No. That
previous
10-point
10-pointer.
agenda, the agenda number 2.
Agenda number 2 is what, Ochuka?
For the Nadco report.
No. That's the Nadco report.
Inclusivity in all spheres.
Inclusivity in all spheres.
Whose language is that?
You say that
So is it done? No. So if the 10-point agenda was not done, then they are saying they are going to form a technical committee that will oversee the implementation of the MOU signed by UDA and ODM. For how long have we had this 10-point agenda in existence? Some months, almost half a year.
10 months.
Yeah.
10 months. So for 10 months, they didn't realize they need a committee that should oversee the implementation. So 10 months later, they have not done anything. Now they are realizing, what we don't have is the technical committee. I told you
ought to have been a part of.
Yes.
it was supposed to be there at the time of signing. Why do we take 10 months? I told you all these things is a waste of time, buy time strategy. There's nothing coming out of it.
But anyway, because this is very interesting, because for us to understand the bullshit through it,
Yes.
for us to understand how hollow it is, we have to read it and then come up with how does it relate to the 10-point.
Yes.
Number 1, support for collaboration with Kenya Kwanza. ODM endorses Raila Odinga's decision to work with the Kenya Kwanza administration to promote national stability and address citizens' concerns through democratic means. What does that sound to you like?
Raila Odinga supports dialogue.
ODM endorses Raila Odinga's decision to work with the Kenya Kwanza administration to promote national stability and address citizens' concerns through democratic means.
Are we addressing them through undemocratic means? That means that we are trying to address the same issues through undemocratic means. So Raila Odinga has seen it and has decided, no, let's address these issues through democratic means. According to him, democratic means is sitting down and talk. We have talked for a very long time. You cannot solve a problem with the same level of thinking that created that problem.
What do you think, Ochuka? What is he trying to say?
What he is trying to say is what he has tried to say all along. And this is one of the criticisms I have against democracy, that there's so much pretty talk.
Yes.
But when it comes to folding your shirt and doing the actual work of lowering the cost of living,
yes,
of compensating the victims of police brutality, of taking to jail people who are corrupt, we are apparently silent.
No, but Joachim already said that the people that were hurt during the Mandamanos and the Vurugus have been paid, but there
are those who are compensated and there are those who are not. Like the Gen Zs who died in 2023 have not been compensated because they were not protesting under the umbrella of Baba Raila Odinga. But every other person who protested and got injured or died in the process while protesting under the umbrella of Baba was compensated fully.
But just to finish up my thoughts, what he's trying to say is Baba has sort of always believed, and I think maybe this is one of his biggest limitations and also strengths, if you are to give him his flowers, that it reaches a point where you can sit down and have an adult democratic talk. The only problem comes because now you have to weigh the legacy and the history of Raila Odinga and see what have these talks, because we have so many reports. Reports that even he himself has always criticized about how they're lying on the shelf with dust. So why are we continuing? Because
To add more reports.
Yeah, to add more reports. Because I believe even the handshake he had with Uhuru had a certain report or a pamphlet somewhere with things they needed to do during or under that banner of umbrella. So I'm feeling like he is not very faithful to the spirit of dialogue that he's actually pointing towards.
There is a word that keeps on showing up every time we talk about dialogue and democracy. This word is stability. I look at stability. What kind of stability are we looking for? Like, to whose benefit? When these people tell us that we need a stable country, we need to define stability according to every Kenyan. Because when a parent cannot pay school fees, they cannot afford meals comfortably, but there is quiet in the country, is the life of that person stable?
Or even peaceful.
Or even peaceful? No. So we need to identify the word stability is only beneficial to them.
Because
These people have so much. They have, along the way, acquired a lot of wealth. They operate businesses. And these businesses, for them to run, they need a country that is not having a lot of chaos. The Raila Odinga we had in 2007 is not the Raila Odinga we have today. Today, when you bring down all our energy, he gets affected. Every sector. So when they talk about stability, and an average Kenyan hears the word peace and stability, it's a very soothing word to listen to. But are you the target for this objective of stability? No, it is for themselves, so that they continue extracting our hard-earned resources as we watch. That's what they define as stability and peace, so that they can do what they do with the no much resistance.
Yes. So long as we can sell Safaricom shares without kelele, so long as we can pawn
we can
the airport
privatize, we can privatize Kenya Ports Authority, and people are not asking questions. That's stability, and there is peace in the country. Yes, we have looked around and decided that we are going to sell land worth 370 billion in Changamwe, and no one is asking questions. That's stability. But they are not looking at a parent who is struggling to take their children to school. They don't see that as instability.
If you are sleeping hungry, and but the streets are quiet.
Yes, but the streets are quiet. Now the country is peaceful. When you complain, they say, hey, look at South Sudan. Look at South Sudan. They start comparing us with the worst countries.
The worst case scenario.
Yes. Yeah, look at South Sudan. Do you want to go there? Unataka ukue kama South Sudan. Why are they not talking about Rwanda that fought, but today they have the best working? You know, I always say it's better to have a dictator who loves his country than a person who talks very nice democratic talk, but is extracting resources from his own country to benefit himself.
I actually thought that Ruto's government would be like that one of Rwanda, developmental-wise. But anyway, implementation of the MOU with UDA. ODM will form a technical team to work with UDA on implementing the 10-point MOU agenda. noting that the absence of such a team has hindered progress. Key focus areas include Nadco report, youth livelihoods, peaceful protests, rule of law, and anti-corruption. The question I want to...
Before you ask, okay, let us now bring every face in ODM on the table.
Okay.
Everyone. And we are forming a technical bench from ODM. Who are we looking for here?
I see Sifuna.
Yes, you see Junet.
I see Junet Mohammed.
Gladys Wanga.
The
same people who have been shouting and telling young people to keep quiet when their lives are being plundered. So what else do we expect from them? Or are they going to change overnight just because they are part of a technical team?
And that's the same thing, you know. The languaging of technical.
Yes.
It's meant to pacify people that there's an actual work going on.
Yes.
And then
like
there isn't.
There is some people with a special set of brains that are coming to look at this complex issue, and they have the ability to solve it.
The question I keep asking is, if you have a memorandum of understanding and you're saying that we have these 10 points that we are supposed to hash out, you know, I imagine that what happens after the signatures have been appended is that tomorrow we have people meeting in a room, okay?
Yes.
Just Sima, put it on silence.
Let me put it on. Hey, it's usually on silence. What's happened today?
Yeah. What is in my head is that immediately the signatures are appended, we are saying, okay, Joachim, you will be the secretary for this team. Ochuka, you will be doing this and that. Our first agenda is to go to some place that is hidden in Naivasha and relook at this MOU.
Yes.
And the people that are going to Mombasa is a technical team.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So the question is, this was 10 months ago or thereabout. So what was the formula then for making sure that, or it was, you remember when Gachagua has been talking about, I did not write anything with him. I said, this is my brother. He has come to my house. He has drank tea with my sons.
He has cried in my presence.
Yes.
He has cried. Okay? So is this another Gachagua moment whereby friends met and decided that let's shake hands, we are going to do better for our country? Even
before that, do you remember how Nadco report came to be? There was a bit of a tiff and taff between players, and most of them could not agree. And you could see that there was a problem in terms of how each other party was saying, we cannot have that person in our team, in that technical team. And then they had to go back and retreat and say, Sasa, if they don't want Sifuna, they don't want Kalonzo, who do we put? And then from the other side, these people wanted Kalonzo because he's more pacified.
Yes.
He would not raise objections. They didn't want Sifuna because he's more...
They said he's a hardliner.
He's a hardliner. You understand?
For you to be branded a hardliner, you must be standing for something. That we have a problem with the cost of living. In this meeting, we are not leaving until we talk about this issue and solve it.
However uncomfortable it is. Yes.
They say, hey, this one is a hardliner. Bring someone a little agreeable. And before we even got the Nadco report, what were the circumstances that forced the country to pick some people to sit down and have a talk? We had a problem of cost of living. It was the biggest issue.
And yet it was one of the most sidelined.
Yes, they said no. For us to talk about cost of living, I think the two principals, President and Raila Odinga, are the ones who will meet at their own time and they will see how to solve it. But meanwhile, we can talk about appointments. Yes, let's talk about IEBC. Who gets what and IEBC. You see?
Yes.
Are they really talking about you and me?
Because the Sufuria moment was gone. And yet that is one of the hotly contested, that is one of the highest spectacles that saw Raila on the street.
Yes.
With Sufuria on his head. Remember Jeremiah Kioni with Sufuria on his head?
Yes, Jeremiah Kioni, Edwin Sifuna in Kibra, Gaucho in Kamukunji.
Ochuka, what is this Nadco report? Do you know, can you tell the audience what Nadco report is supposed to be? Is it like Epstein files? What is it?
The Nadco report is, it's kind of like an autopsy report.
On what?
On the political grief that happened after the 2022 elections. So 2022 elections came with bodies, but not farly wounded than 2017.
Yes.
2017 was a bigger gaping wound than we saw in 2022. The reason is, I think at some point, Raila was a bit tired to want to go back to the street, as opposed to 2017 when he still had some little more fire and leverage to hold against Uhuru Kenyatta. So that meant that, yes, people still had the grievances. And when I started talking about the ambivalence of Raila Odinga, to people who supported him, there was still a lot of hope that Baba knows what he is doing. So when he saw that he had tried, even went to the courts and all that, and there was no fruit left, because for him he was saying that Omaya, the votes had been taken away from him, the victory had been taken away from him for the 5th time or so. The people still believed that that victory still legitimately belonged to Raila Odinga. Understand? And then compounded with the fact that life was very difficult in terms of cost of living. And Raila had set out a bigger social hope that he might be better placed to resolve the issues as opposed to William Ruto. So here comes a moment where the victory is taken away from him. So the chances of him being president is gone. But he's still selling a hope to his constituency, telling them that I still know what to do, that if the other avenues of the other democratic avenues didn't work out, we still have this way of exercising our rights of association and protest in the street, hoping that he could corner William Ruto. What people did not know, the average Kenyan citizen looking into him, is this is how he negotiates with the government regime in place, sometimes using the very legitimate causes of concern, like cost of living. So that is how Nadco report came to be, because then again, Ruto inherited a bigger bloated country, for which even Raila would have also struggled with to sort out. And it comes to a place where the victory he had against Raila Odinga was also very thin. So it's more of two presidents in the same space. You understand? A president of a constituency that lost to the majority, and another president that won legitimately and is now going to be sworn in. But there's a bigger problem here. These people are both powerful. They both have constituencies that they can leverage on with each other. This person has state power and craft. This person has the masses. So comes a point where the street demonstrations are no longer sustainable, and the country is plummeting into chaos. The business community are worried about a week or so of constant protests around the country. So they come together, and I think this is where the dialogue comes in. I usually think that dialogue in Raila Odinga's mind is about negotiating his place in the whole statecraft of things. When I talk about statecraft of things, I mean how they extract their own self-importance and value using legitimate concerns of citizens. That is how Nadco report came in, because then again, it is easier to write a pamphlet with very beautiful democratic words, but not do the work. Because if the work had been done, this technical committee would have been in place. We would have at least known that in short term, these are the things that we are going to focus on the most. And then in long term, these are the bigger issues that we are looking up to. But those have not been done. In other words, in the next 10 months, you could have another Nadco report with a different name. Another 10 months, another Nadco report. Before we know it, it's 2027. And he has bought time for William Ruto, which is one of his biggest role currently.
Yes, you need to understand. Why did William Ruto decide to work with Raila Odinga? What is Raila Odinga's role in his association with the government? It is to ensure that William Ruto gets to 2027 without much struggle. So for him to achieve that, he needs to slow down the pressure from the people and tell them, hey, there's something we are doing. Just hold on. The people held on for 6 months when the bipartisan talks were going on. hoping something will come out of it. Then they waited for the results. They didn't see it. The pressure increased again. It came to June 25th. He came and said, no. Look here. We have 10-point agenda. This is now the real deal now.
Yeah, this is the serious stuff.
Yes, leave alone the other things we've done. Now the 10-point agenda is the big, this is the
This is
stuff.
huge.
Yes. And people are like, okay. And
Sounds
since
good.
it's Baba,
Yeah.
let's give it a try. They wait 10 months later. Now there is a pressure again because nothing is happening. Then he's come and he said, no. Now the thing we forgot is, look here, we did not factor in the importance of a technical committee. So just cool down, things will be okay. Let's have this technical committee that will oversee the implementation of the 10-point agenda. After this technical committee will still not do anything, the pressure increases, he will come with another word.
What happened to the conclave?
The conclave now points to a bigger, grim picture. Raila's ideas, when he makes an opinion, it becomes the agenda of the country. And everyone else rallies towards that agenda, both in government and out of government. But this time, he's struggling with making his agenda relevant. Because we are seeing even voices from his own party, something that had never happened before, having divergent opinions about the ideas Baba is giving. The reason why the conclave is still not so much on the people's tongues is they are seeing different versions of how things are done from the same party that Baba is leading. So the amount of trust people have been giving him, to some extent, it's not the same. And I also think people are taking advantage of Baba's old age. At the age of 80, you are not the same. The graph of a human being goes like this. At 80, it flattens, then it starts coming down. Baba is has been at the peak, and I think the level of how to grasp ideas and think about how tomorrow will be has come down. But there are those people who just want to benefit from their closeness to him.
Proximity.
Yes, the proximity to Baba gives you an appointment in cabinet. When you are around him, you become the chairman of the party. You get a good salary. When you are around him, you don't struggle to see the president. So they don't actually care about other things. That's the problem that we have.
But something that is very interesting to me, when you look at the Star and they're talking about the Nadco report, they're talking about the auditing of the 2022 electoral process. Why are we auditing that?
So that what happens?
Yeah, I'm wondering, why are we auditing that? If you look at that, there is the restructuring and reconstitution of the IEBC. Hasn't that been done? Or it has not been done?
No.
But he has sworn them in. They have been sworn in.
A restructuring of the IEBC. To whose benefit? Who are the members of the new IEBC? Erastus Ethekon, who was once a PA to the president's PA.
A PA to the president's PA.
Erastus Ethekon once worked for Nadco.
Okay.
Nadco, who is working at State House for the president.
Today.
That should tell you something. Who are the appointment panel for the IEBC? The appointment panel. David, somebody Olo, Adams Olo.
Adams Olo.
Was part of the panel. Where does Adam Olo work? He's an advisor to the president. So these are people who work together. So, no, can you find someone? I think Erastus can do this job. Let's see. So who will propose Erastus? And can we have someone on the panel who can make this thing? Call me Adams. Adams will be on the panel. So this is someone who has chosen the IEBC for himself. So does the new IEBC elicit any kind of hope in the people? Completely not. And look at the people who are around the president. The same president who presented the names for the IEBC. They are saying, if we are not going to get enough votes, we will add some from our own sources. Now, where does that leave the eligibility of the IEBC or their capacity to deliver a free, fair,
Credible election.
and credible election? Because the employer of the IEBC, his mouthpieces are saying, we know Kenyans might not vote for us, but because we are here, we have the power to add some votes. What are they going to use to add votes? IEBC. So, even when you are restructuring and forming a new IEBC, how is that beneficial to the Kenyan person? How is that going to solve the problem that led us into this situation that needed us to have a 10-point agenda?
Might I respond to the 2 points you raised?
Yeah.
Why was it important for them to audit the 2022 elections? Number one, when I started saying that Raila still had hope to sell for his constituency because they believed victory yet again was taken from him.
Yes.
So they needed to soothe the wound. He has already known that this is a dead end because Raila knows. He knows when something is possible. When somebody has already been sworn in, there's very little you can do unless you do a coup. Understand? But he still needs to leash on his constituency, to hold a leash on his constituency so that he can control and pacify them. So in telling them that, you see, something went wrong during the last election and we need to get to the bottom of it. We know that even during the court process, the highly contested thing was, how do we open the server? How do we ascertain and do an audit, a forensic audit, technical audit, and know for certain that there were actually votes that were tampered with or that were added, or there's a Camargo formula that happened somewhere there. So two, when you restructure IEBC, an independent body, usually it is usually to reflect or mimic the fantasy of either the person in power or the person who felt duped during the last election. One key issue is the issue of Mr. Chebukati, the IEBC chair. The IEBC chair was sort of scapegoated because he for ODM and Azimio as the person who faulted or bungled the whole election because he allegedly announced not the winner. You understand? So for them, they want somebody who would be fair to the situation, or at least fair to them. To the president, he's looking at how do I mouthpiece myself without getting involved in the breadcrumb line of things, so that when people do an audit, you don't see a Ruto face. You only see people that he might have associated with, but not his face. You understand? And that's why it was important to restructure, but not when you look at, because when you are restructuring such an independent and very critical institution, we are thinking, how do we move towards a place where a contested election does not produce more wounds that we have had in the history of our past? How do we get to a place where our institutions are not a proof of the meddling that usually happens by either parties, because that is what happened in the last election?
But what I keep I don't understand is, so ODM, Azimio, or whatever it is going to the government, that is Ruto of Kenya Kwanza, and telling him that, look, we need to audit the 2022 electoral process or the outcome. In my head, I am thinking that ODM or Raila is hoping that when the audit is done, then they are going to find some irregularities. And they are going, and Raila is going to go back to his people and say, look, I told you. So, yeah. But the question is, do you think that Ruto might allow an audit of 22 elections, something that is going to make him look bad?
No, that statement, audit of the election in 2022, was not meant for either Ruto or Raila. It was meant for Raila's people. To see that we can actually, just the same way Ochuka has said, that there is hope. We can actually find out if we lost or won this election. It also helps in getting people to calm down as time goes.
Yes.
I hope that you are enjoying that episode, people of the internet. You know, everybody says there is no job, and that is true. Also, that was me 10 years ago. The problem is that everybody is trying to get a job in their own town, in their own city, in their marketplace. They ask friends for jobs, mothers call uncles, uncles call fathers, but there are no jobs, right? Let me tell you what no one is telling you. Jobs migrated online. What I actually mean is there are many, many jobs around the world and there is no one to do them. I have worked for a long time online, I think more than 10 years. I work for Americans, I work for Europeans, I work for the Chinese, the Australian, Canadians, the Ugandans, name all of them. And last year, I had a eureka moment. I said to myself, you know what? I should compile what I have been doing for the last 15 years. So in 2024, I wrote a book called Gold Mine, 18 Side Hustles for Africans. And it sold a lot of copies. In fact, I was going for, sometimes I was receiving 500 orders in a day. In 2025, something happened. AI came. I think in 2025, AI came. AI came in 2024, but in 2025, it is here with us. And people say AI is taking away their jobs. And for me, I'll say false. There are actually AI jobs. Na mimi ni nani? I created more jobs. We now have in my book 25 online and offline side hustles that you can do anywhere in the world, whether you are in the village, whether you are in your small town, whether you're in a marketplace, whether you are in your house, you can do them. In this powerful volume 2, I share 25 new actionable online hustles specifically researched and tailored for Africans. My new book provides clear step-by-step guidance, drawing from my extensive experience and research, including the mistakes I have made and lessons I have learned over 15 years in this online job market. You can become an executive assistant to busy folks in Europe, America, and Canada. You can also get paid for tasks like watching videos and taking online surveys. There are many of them and they're in my book. You can also build a business as a virtual assistant, start an e-commerce without a shilling. You can also become an affiliate marketer or an online English tutor. And you can also do tens of AI jobs, and they're all in these books. If you have a job, that is fine, but I know around you there are so many people that are always looking for jobs and at home watching Netflix. Buy this book for your brother, for your sister, for your mother, cousin, husband, who is back at home all day, all night watching Netflix. Okay? Buy it for your friend, that friend who is always asking you for cash, you can buy this book for them. All the information is in the description below. You can also inbox me, you can WhatsApp me, or you can go to my website, which is oduorjagero.co.ke. The book is only 1,000 Kenya shillings. Or if you're anywhere around the world, the book is $10. So thank you very much. Back to programming.
Because I believe at that point they had already been in talk with Ruto.
Yes.
There is also a recommendation that legal reforms should be passed less than 18 months of the general election become effective in the next elect. What are these reforms?
Electoral reforms.
Yeah, what are they?
There were boundaries that were supposed to be re-evaluated.
Yes.
The constitution of the commissions at an appointed and their appointments. Budgeting, because even right now IEBC is struggling with budgeting. They don't even know how they're going to do the by-elections.
Because of why?
Because of finances.
Yeah, you know, you have to know that you depend on me. I am the one in power. So even if you are the chairman of this commission, you depend on me to run your things.
To run your independent things.
Yes. So even as you run your independent things, you need financing from me. How, you know, sometimes I fail to understand these wordings. Mm-hmm. So you are independent, but you need money from me. How are you independent?
So the question also is, the biggest question of all is, why is it that we want to establish independent bodies, but these independent bodies sort of have to have appointments and signatures from certain individuals? Like, for example, you cannot have an independent IEBC without the participation of the president. Why is that so? Because I am thinking, okay, we want an IEBC that is independent. Okay? We are saying, okay, who is proposing the names? We have Chuka, we have Joachim, people that we want on the panel or people that we want as commissioners.
Okay.
Why can't these people be certified by the court? Why do they have to go to State House for the signatures?
I think I have a theory for it.
Okay.
Most of our politics is client-based, as opposed to maybe if you look at the Scandinavian models where they are more leaning towards public service. So public service means people can be appointed. Just the same way I want to come to work at a political headache. I have to present my CV, my resume, and I have to sit for an interview. So for them, clientelism means that we are only mimicking democracy, where there are checks and balances. But we know very well checks and balances is just how do we balance the ledger? Which Mpesa rang? Which account got fatter? Which call was made in the middle of the night? Which intimidation tactic was actually done? Those are the checks and balances that we know of in African countries, Kenya included. But for us, we want to imagine that independence comes from the rational human mind to consider each other, to consider the greater health of a nation. We don't have such kind of hygiene.
Hygiene.
Because some people don't care what happens. To them, what they want is what matters. How the way to get it is non-issue. Even if we'll get a few graves here and there in my pursuit of what I want, it's okay. So the issue of, and today, when you talk about Erastus Ethekon, who are the people that are going to defend him? Even look at the comments after this video. The people who will be defending the new chairman of IEBC are the people who are sympathetic to the regime. Why? Because they think that because it's our regime, our president that has appointed these people, the chairman of the IEBC will be in a position to work in our favor. No one who is supporting this government or the president that can ask a question about how IEBC is going to function. Because in that mess of unfunctionality of IEBC, that's how they are going to emerge victorious. So when you look at how they are organized and you want things to be done the right way, you become a threat to them. There are people, wakisikia free, fair, and credible elections, they lose sleep.
They lose sleep.
Yes, because they cannot win an election in a free and fair ground. That's our biggest issue.
The party demands full implementation of devolution by unbundling all devolved functions and transferring constitutionally mandated resources to counties.
Do you need a technical team to do that? These are things that are well spelled out in our constitution. We know the functions that have been devolved. We know those that have not been devolved. You don't need any technical team to tell us what is supposed to be done. Constitutionalism alone, just strict adherence to the law, can cure that disease.
There's a bigger animal in that statement. We know counties are very much also they're using the same logic of independent bodies. Actually.
Yes.
You see, you need money to run counties. You understand? And one of the biggest issues that Raila has raised in the 10-pointer, even in the 6-pointers as well, is how to raise the funds that are devolved, that are taken back to the
counties.
You understand? If the county does not have enough money, then it means they cannot perform their roles.
Yes.
And if they are atrophied, it means they'll be begging back to the president, the way they used to do in Moi's day.
Yes.
You know, the way a district commissioner used to kneel upon Moi's presence. So that's the thing that is going on here, because what we believe is just a lag of some legal framework, a lack of legal framework is actually very deliberate. Because when you strangle the main artery of counties, which is finances, it means you are actually holding them to your to your leverage. It means you can actually call the Council of Governors and tell them, this is how I want us to run our things. Otherwise, you're not going to get your money. You understand? So I do feel that these are matters that do not even need a technical report. They simply need a rollout. And this rollout does not necessarily require some very big legal framework that the common mwananchi cannot grasp.
In other words, they are begging the president, please, please, we want the unbundling of all devolved functions, and we ask you to transfer constitutionally mandated resources to the counties. We beg you, Mr. President.
The presidents know that they can do anything they want, because even after retirement, we will be told, hey, he served his 10 years, let him retire in peace. Yeah,
he's old anyway.
Yeah, he's old. Let us just carry on. Let Mzee retire in peace. And because they know that they can do anything and they will get away with it. If there was some stringent laws that a president knows, if I do not give money to the counties, I might be immune from prosecution today, but I will retire someday. The moment I relinquish my seat as president, policemen will show up at my doors. If there was something like that, then we will be having a very different scenario. But because we punish this kind of crimes by a slap on the wrist, people know that you can get away with it.
The national dialogue on youth issue, national dialogue
on youth
issue, ODM supports a national intergeneration.
That's the word I was looking for.
Why are we all laughing? Huh?
Because we know the script.
Hey. You know.
What is going on here?
There was this word, I don't know.
Intergenerational dialogue or conclave in bracket to address key issues affecting the country, especially youth concerns.
That is one way of looking at the Gen Z and spitting on their face, because they know the Gen Z are now actually very much critical to their endeavors if they don't calculate how they include them. So they have to give them some minofu to chew. And they don't give you full, it's a carcass they're giving you. It's not a freshly skinned meat.
Umauma hii mfupa, ukimaliza tunachamusha ingine. So, the word conclave, like when we have a conclave, the literal conclave of choosing a pope, it's usually a private thing that we as members of the public, we do not even know what is happening.
Members of the Catholic Church.
Yes.
For thousands of years.
You will just see some white smoke. Then you know we have a pope. How we got here, we don't know. Now let's bring that into this conclave
context.
Yes. So some youths will be picked. Go be hidden somewhere, very private, where we don't know what they are discussing, but they will just come out and say, we have now solved the youth issue.
The question that I am asking you is, because there is something that you said that is very interesting, that some few youths will be picked.
Yes. Because what is Raila Odinga's proposal about the conclave? 40 people from every county. How many people do we have in Nairobi? Around 4 million. So from each 1 million people gives one person, 4 people. Or 10 people. 1 million, 10 people. 1 million, 10 people. Then we arrive at 40. Who will be talking on behalf of the youth?
Do we know the location where they are going to be?
Because it's a conclave, we are not supposed to know.
It's like, even if it was public.
Yeah, even if it was public. But
it's more ceremonial.
They are at Bomas.
Okay.
A conclave is going on at Bomas. Please stay away. Even some motorists will be told, hey, you cannot go beyond this. There is a conclave. You understand? The issue of that conclave, one of the objectives, is to identify the most vocal people. Say, ndio huyu Joakim. Huyu Joakim tunaonaga sasa ndio. Wewe Joakim, unataka nini?
Tukupatie.
Kuna siku niliwahi ambiwa na mtu, do you think you can solve Kenyans' problems?
Okay.
Just tell us what you want. Solve it. Wachana na Wakenya. They will be here even after 60 years. When you wake up, or even if you will be dead, you wake up, you will still see these problems. So you cannot solve, don't pretend that you can solve their problems. What do you want?
Don't be a hero.
Yes. Say, I want 20 million. Say, now we are giving you 10. So don't speak about it. Poverty is the enemy. Poverty is the enemy. So they will identify the young people who have been very critical of government. They'll give them some lives that they could not afford for themselves. Like the issue of taking Caswell to the US. Do you know what is meant to achieve?
No.
To show young people that, hey, when you support government and you stop making noise, these are the things you will get.
The rewards.
You will be in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
You will,
Yeah, I saw Caswell, my friend, driving a...
Chauffeuring.
Caswell posted and said, driving back home after a very long day in Washington. You know, that is meant to tell Kenyan youth that, hey, there is a chance to actually do something in the US, Europe. You will even have money to enjoy these high-end vehicles. Just stop making noise and come, let's talk.
For you, why don't you want to take the 10 million? What is your problem? I mean, I am not your problem. People in Turkana are not your problem.
They
People
don't
in
even
Nyandarua
know.
is not your problem.
They don't even know.
Yeah, so why don't you take the 10 million and go to Washington if that's where all of you are being taken?
You take the money, then the problems that are affecting you here, that money will not be enough to solve the problems that you have and your children. At some point in life, you will still encounter these problems. So your children will be born and find themselves in a country where they cannot get a job, even if they are educated. Your children will be born and find themselves in a country where when the road is potholed and muddy, every rich person buys gumboot, and no one thinks about let's get a good road. You will leave your country where no one is really guaranteed with security, that it becomes an achievement to go to work and come back home alive. We want a country where you feel proud of being in this country, where you wake up and you say, I thank God that we have a good government, we have a good country, and therefore we have a good president. But even if I decide to take 10 million, someone else will come and make the same noise about it. Can they give, now, all the 40
Plus,
young people, let's say now they are giving them, each one of them 10 million. The problems will still be here. There will still be other youths from the same counties who feel disoriented. So, you called these ones to give them money. Okay. Now we want ours.
I want to connect it to a point.
Yeah.
There's something I usually call the irony of immunity. And this usually happens classically amongst politicians who are in government, or in other words, they're in favor with the current existing regime. So when you're like that, usually you feel as though the systemic issues do not affect you that much. You can afford to take your kids to a good school. You probably have a direct ring to the president or to the governor. And so what the bigger terrors that existed before you gained this favor do not affect you that much. And I think most politicians do react and they live from that particular wound where they defend the government so viciously because at this moment in time, there's a tap flowing into their homes. And usually that's where also the point comes when the phone stopped ringing. Have you ever heard most politicians saying that my phone stopped ringing? You know, nobody's so no longer picks up my call. I can't even get access to their offices anymore. Because that is the moment your immunity collapses and you realize you're back to the same environment that you thought at one moment you had run away from. And this is why it is a bigger call and a bigger self-sacrifice as a person not just because you are better, not just because you don't need the money. I mean, so many of us need even 10,000, even 5,000 if I were to be sent. I would really need that money for my chemotherapy, you know. But there's a bigger sacrifice involved. And I would be tempted to call it integrity. But I don't think it is integrity. There's something more, maybe a word that I have not invented or known yet. There's something more involved, and I think this is something that younger people are at least trying to harness, that there is somebody next to me, there's somebody after me, there's somebody besides me that will need to be in a better system, whether or not Ruto or Raela or Matiang'i is in power, whether or not Ochuka or Joachim or Gojagero is in power.
There is a story that I was told in Kisumu just this past weekend.
Right.
And it was so ominous, and I felt like I posted a picture of Colonel Rasanga wanting to become a senator after being a governor for 2 terms, 10 years. And there's a gentleman who met with me in Kisumu and told me something very serious, that have you ever gone to Rasanga's home where he has built? And he told me that if you've not gone there, I will draw for you a picture. That he has such a huge compound, about 3 acres, glittering with marble and stained glass. And the kind of money that he has spent and pumped into that home is unbelievable. You could say it costed him 100 million. Because for sure, if you go into that home, you see 100 million has been sunk here. You know. But what you have to understand is how Rasanga reaches his place. When Rasanga leaves the main road, he takes a Maram road and then leaves a Maram road into beaten earth. And when you follow that road with Rasanga's huge V8, it sprays dust onto mud houses.
Yes.
And the amount of abject poverty
Around his palatial home.
Around his palatial home is unbelievable. You would be ashamed of passing through those dwindling footpaths in order to reach Rasanga's home. The poverty around there haunts you. But do you know what? It never haunts anybody more than Rasanga. Rasanga would have wished to come with a tractor and take all of them away. But those homes will haunt him until he dies.
You know, life is all about others. And we've been told that most of the time, think about yourself. But when you look at life, you see that without other people, there's nowhere you can go. We are talking on this podcast with hope that other people will watch it. And by other people watching, we get that aggrandizement that we did a good job and so many people saw it. We make our living through others. You were taught, you went to school with other people, you were taught by other people. Even your business, you build your business to sell to other people. When someone says, so-and-so does a good job, it means he did it for someone else. And they saw how good he is at his job, and therefore there is a referral. But we've been told to always think about ourselves, that what other people says about us, it's none of our business. We forget that when you create an environment and other people start hating you, you start feeling the heat. Like, for example, when you are working somewhere and your colleagues do not want you, that you enter into the office and you see the colleagues that you have who are laughing and engaging in stories, everyone keeps quiet and goes back to their desk. You start feeling that you are not okay in this environment. Therefore, the things some of us are pushing is a country where even others, people that you do not know, can afford to have a good life. Because if my brothers were all enjoying a good life, not really wealth and all that, but they can sustain life without depending on any other person, even the money you are making in Nairobi will be all yours, because no one is calling from up country to ask you for anything. Because everyone can manage their own life, however small they have, but they are not struggling. But we don't think about that. Well, if Furazanga could just use his position and power to make sure that the road that goes to his home is good, other people will still benefit. Because that road is not just used by that one person. They are neighbors. But we live in a country where everyone wants everything for themselves. Someone who said that this country, the way we are continuing to do things, someone will look at this country and say, here lies a country, here lies the remains of a country that was so good, but was destroyed by greed. You mentioned something about the sale of shares in companies. This is just an attempt by people who feel like they want to own everything. Like someone who feel like they want every land that is empty everywhere. When he sees that land, it looks like it doesn't have anybody occupying it.
That's mine.
It has to be his. And he will do everything under the earth to get that. That you even risk national security so that you can accumulate wealth for yourself. When you have already done enough for your kids, your grandkids, and even your great-grandkids will benefit from the wealth that you have, but you still want more. Let's take, for example, if we privatize Kenya Ports Authority, sell government shares to private entity, which means they get from the shores of the ocean into our country is going to be in the hands of the private people. Which means even the things we will be importing into the country, someone who owns most shares in that decides the pricing. And they can let in anything they want because it's theirs. They own it. When we privatize Kenya Pipeline Corporation, you will wake up one day and your car doesn't have fuel. You drive around all these petrol stations. There is no fuel because there is what we call hoarding. So that tomorrow when you find fuel,
the pump prices are high.
There is an increase in price. It will happen because that thing is not controlled by government. It's controlled by an individual. We go like that and privatize, sell the shares in Safaricom. The highest shareholder in Safaricom will be a private person. He will have access to information and communication of every Kenyan. That also borders on national security. But these people,
including Mpesa, the backbone of this country.
yes. But because everyone is thinking about themselves. They don't see that as a problem, as a collective mess for this country. That you think the problem Jagero has, I'm immune to that problem, until one day you face the same and you start saying, oh, so like the culture we've been having in this country, people who have been given a good job, you're earning 100,000, you've been given a loan car, you're living in a gated suburb.
Or a position at one of these parastatals.
Yes. Ukiona watu wanaandamana bei ya ungo, unaona ni these people, hao ndo wanasemanga stability. They are ruining our stability.
Our comfort.
But there is not that empathy.
Yeah.
But if we just spent a few minutes and thought about how about other people? What would happen? What would I lose if Ochuka lived his life without going through a lot? What would I lose if we built a good dam that will provide water for irrigation in Ukambani? What would I lose if we had a hospital that had drugs given to people? What would you lose if a kid in Budalangi affords education and there is guarantee that they will get a job? There's nothing we'll lose. But what is this that prevents us from making these things to happen when we have the power to make them happen? We do things that do not impact the lives of other people in any way. You spend 1.2 billion to build a church when there is a student in Baringo learning under a tree. You destroy free education. Then there is a woman who came from Baringo. Is it Baringo? Who said that free education makes parents not to be responsible. What did we do? To a point that we have inflicted upon ourselves leaders of such caliber. At free education inafanya wazazi wasikuwe responsible. That's somebody who should be swallowed by a shark. We forget about them.
Most likely the very product of FPE, free
Yes.
primary education.
Free primary education. Some of us, without these things that governments, these programs of free primary education, I wouldn't be here. Ningekuwa nafanya mall hunting huko Ushago. Kutoa fuko. That will be the jobs some of us will be doing. But because somebody thought about others, said we have 1 million children on the streets because they cannot afford school fees. What can we do? We can increase the price of a cigarette and a bottle of beer. The few coins we get, we channel it to education. That becomes a country where everyone sees some people making effort for us to get a good country. But what are we doing? We are thinking about ourselves. When you stay out, in a noisy environment, you decorate your room. You make sure that when you are in your house, you cannot